Shout out to all of my people pleasers out there. You know who you are. You're the people who say yes to everything, who are constantly going, and trying to prove your worth. But have you ever stopped and asked yourself, what is that actually costing you? Because for most people, it costs way more than you think. Welcome to the WTF podcast, friends. My name is Molly Smith, and I'm on a mission to equip 1 million people with the tools to recognize when they're in the funk, but more importantly, how to pivot out of it. By tuning in today, you've joined me on this mission, and I am so glad you are here. Today's conversation is going to be a powerful one because we're diving into what happens when your life is built around showing up for everyone else and becoming who you think you're supposed to be. My guest today spent years stuck in that pattern, always saying yes, always pushing, and always trying to measure up. And on the outside, it looked like Spencer was doing all the right things until it came crashing down. We're going to talk about the moment he hit rock bottom and what it felt like to realize he didn't know who he was and what it actually took to build from the inside out. And now the work he is doing is helping people break out of that same cycle so they can create a life that feels energizing. If you've ever been stuck in that loop of doing more and proving more and being more for everyone else, this conversation is going to hit close to home. Please join me in welcoming Spencer Jones to the WTF podcast. Hey, Spencer.
Hey, thank you so much for being here and doing all the incredible work you are doing. You are
Oh,
impacting so many lives. So thank you for all that. And I'm honored to be part of this.
yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad to have this conversation because I think there's so many people out there who get into those people pleasing scenarios and then they find themselves like looking around and saying, what happened to my life? Right. Yeah.
It's amazing how quickly things can derail. One thing's there and you don't think about it, but then it builds up over time. And all of a sudden, you look around and go, what just happened?
What just happened? Okay. So take me back before everything unraveled for you. If someone met you during that time, what would they have seen?
Oh, we should probably ask them. I don't know. I was on the inside of it, but my guess is that they would see a person who is very driven, who was there for people.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, the person they can rely on, but also a person for me who's not bullheaded, but egotistical to a way. Like they were very overconfident in themselves. Maybe they saw, or maybe
Okay.
they didn't see that overconfidence. They just saw it as confidence. That I'm not 100% sure on, but a person who is always there for people and who was loud, obnoxious to a degree, or just full on obnoxious. Yeah, I imagine that's what they would be seeing and thinking.
Where do you think that came from? Has that always been how you showed up in the world as kind of really confident, maybe a little bit obnoxious or over obnoxious? Yeah. Tell me
Yeah,
about that.
yeah, I would say it's part of who I am to a degree. So if you ever have done the DISC assessment,
Mhm.
I'm an I, right? And so I'm very creative. I'm ID. So I'm very creative and out there. I'm an extrovert. I love people. And I'm also direct and like, let's go after it now. I didn't know that about myself at the time, right? The DISC
Yeah.
assessment came years after that, even after I hit my rock bottom. But when I look back, I've always been, say, confident in my ability. Well, I'll figure that out. Well, I'll be able to do this. And
It's
I
great.
have no problem walking up to strangers and sharing it and doing things or just taking the lead. That has always been a strength of mine. Now I did it at wrong times as well, right? Times that I shouldn't have,
Okay.
and be loud and obnoxious vocally, and just because I'm confident in myself, to just as how I showed up. Now, what I realized is the confidence was confidence to a degree, but a lot of it was ego. I was just trying to get myself being seen, heard, and felt. Like that's the shift
Mm,
that I didn't realize at the time. So when you ask the question, what did people see? Well, for me, inside out, I was confident, right? I
right.
knew what I was doing. I'm going to show the world who I am, and dot 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 dot. But from the outside in, it might have looked that way, but it also might have looked like ego, and he's just trying to prove himself over and over again. Because when I dug down through the layers, that's really what a lot of it was. Some of it was confidence, right? It had a
Yeah.
base of that to a degree, but
Sure.
there's a lot of ego.
Yeah. Okay, well, take me to the moment where things started falling apart. Like, take us back to that season of life. What were you doing, and what decisions were you making, and where it all kind of unraveled?
Yeah, so I was a middle school and high school choir director. I did that for 9 years. Still love teaching and playing piano and directing,
Yeah.
all that. Don't do that nearly as often. I still play piano, but and I teach through the work we do. But for me, it looked like, well, I'm saying yes to the students, to these opportunities, to perform here, to do this concert, to whatever. Saying yes
Mm.
to all the different responsibilities of being a teacher, not just a choir, but the stuff within school and the community.
Right.
And a lot of it, looking back, was me trying to be successful, my quote unquote success in life. And for me, I identified success as money and notoriety, right? I wanted to have
Okay.
the fame and the fortune.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, teaching wasn't getting me the fortune, obviously. Right. So I had different entrepreneurial activities throughout my whole life. I've always been an entrepreneur. So I'm like, well, that'll bring in the fortune, but and maybe fame, but teaching I can get fame. I remember wanting a craving to be able to go around town, around, where I live in Wisconsin, and even hopefully go around the country and the world, and people knew who I was, right? They would be like,
Yeah.
oh, there's Spencer. I got to say hi or get a picture with him and things like that.
Yeah.
And I was craving that. And I was building that through this. So at that time, I was saying yes to opportunities, different things that would get my name out there, that get my face out there in front of people. And all the while, not taking care of my home life, as it were, the
Okay.
relationships close to me, and just assuming that, well, we were good. And well, maybe we're still good, right? Like that's fine. I'm pursuing this, right? Like that's on the back burner, but everything's
Yeah.
going to be okay. And that I just kept pursuing, kept pushing and pushing and pushing. So people pleasing, saying yes to all the different things, trying people pleasing in the sense of not letting my worth or value be less on that. I wouldn't take crap from anybody, right? Like they
Yeah.
could, I would tell them off, right? And because I'm king ego, like no, I am the smartest one in the room. I'm the best person here. And I was doing personal growth and all that stuff at the time, but yeah, it was coming from this place of scarcity, of ego, of trying to prove myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what it looked like. So I was teaching, I was doing everything, working, depending on the season, working 12-hour days, 14, 16, 18-hour days,
Mm.
coming home and sleeping, depending on the season within teaching. I was
Sure.
making decisions based on that ego and trying to prove myself and really saying, well, I got this. Like I'm the king of the world, right? I place myself up on that pedestal. I can do anything and I can get away with it because I have connections.
Okay. Okay. I want to dive into a couple of things here. So, first, that deep desire and craving to be seen and heard and sought after and known, where did that come from? Does it go back farther in your like earlier in your life? Where does that come from?
Yeah, I think all of us humans want to be seen, heard, and felt, right? We
Oh,
appreciate and
yes.
we feel seen, heard, and felt. And so that deep craving for me, while it's a human desire, that really deep and strong craving of it from me stems after digging in and seeing therapists and all that stems from my childhood because my parents raised me with, they did the best they could. I love them. I appreciate all they did, of course.
Sure.
But they raised me with a lot of guilt and shame. And
Mm.
so I felt like I had to prove myself over and over and over again from the early developmental ages.
Yeah.
I remember even in college. So I was homeschooled from third grade up through high school, graduated, went to a 2-year campus, and partway through the first year, yeah, partway through the first year, I was like, I want to move out, right? It was a college close to home, like I want to move out of
Yeah.
the house, and so I remember creating, like I did my whole budgeting plan, like here's how much I'm making, here's how much this is going to cost me to move out, here's all the jobs, and like break it all down, right? And I took my parents out to breakfast one day, and I'm like, all right, like they kind of knew my plans already, wanting to do it. And
Yeah.
so I said, all right, here's a plan, whatever, walked them through it. And they're like, you'll never do it. Like, you'll move back. If you leave, you're going to move back. Like, they did not believe
Mm.
or support me in that decision or anything like that. And that was I mean, I was crushed. I was heartbroken. Of course, I still moved out. I didn't listen to them because I'm Spencer and I'm going to do what I do. Um,
Yes.
right. So I moved out, and I didn't go back, maybe to their dismay. But in any case, I was crushed, but it was also normal. I remember thinking, like, well, I
Mm,
should have expected that because that's just what happens every time or almost
yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
So I think, and I feel like I wasn't seen, heard, or felt as much or as on a deep level as a kid. And throughout my developmental years, words are hard, and into teenage years and that. So then that desire, once I was comfortable and confident in myself enough to be like, well, I did this, I can do this, well, I can do that.
Yeah.
And that confidence is good, but the ego driven part of I'm better than everybody else, place myself on pedestals, isn't
Yeah.
for me. But I just kept riding that wave because I had to keep proving myself.
Well, and honestly, if somebody tells me I can't do something, there's this innate part of me, and I'm sure it's some wounded part of me that's like, watch this.
Yep.
You know what I
That was
mean?
me.
And so I also just want to give you like mad props because I have a 19-year-old and a 22-year-old. And if they sat down with me and did a budget and like figured out all of the things, I would have been like, yes, right? So, like, that is huge that you took so much time and thought to do that. And you ended up executing it on it anyway because you were set
I
out to
wanted to
do
be
it.
out, right?
You
I'm going
wanted
to
to be
move out. I'm going to do this
abs-
thing anyway. So
absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so you decided at some juncture to step away from teaching, correct? So take us through like that decision and the time, because wasn't that during the pandemic or close to the pandemic?
yeah, it was pre-pandemic. So as I said, I was a teacher for 9 years, and it was never my dream to be a teacher. My dream
Mhm.
was to compose movie scores as a teenager, right? I wanted to write the music behind the movies, and
Yeah.
so love music, love all that stuff. And then, well, I was told that again, I was told if I was going to marry his daughter, I needed insurance. Okay, cool. So limiting belief of his and whatever, like all good. He was doing the best he could. Little old me also wanting to marry her. I'm like, okay, what can I do to do this and still chase my passion? So it was, well, I could teach, right? I could teach music and still write music on the side and do all that stuff. Now, thankfully, I love teaching. Once I got into it, I loved it. I was good at it and all that. But it wasn't necessarily my calling, right? As I said, I've
Right.
been an entrepreneur my whole life to some degree. I sold pumpkins as a kid and snow shoveled and lawn mowing and whatever. I had a piano studio in college and afterwards.
Mhm.
And so for me, it was like, well, okay, there's something. So I started teaching, and once I got full time teaching, I just did teaching. But then I'm like, there's something more. There's something more. So other little
Yeah.
opportunities popped up, and I started doing personal growth through one of those opportunities. And like after about year four, I'm like, this isn't long term. I don't know what I'm going to do. I like this still, but this is the long term thing. I don't see myself doing teaching for next 20 years, 30 years. That's not me.
Right.
But I don't know what it is. So I'll keep doing this. And so working. So about the couple months before the pandemic, 2019, I'm like, this is that was that summer before in 2019. I'm like, this is my last year teaching. We're going to move on, do something else. I've been building up a coaching business, and I was going to franchise one of my friend's companies out here in Wisconsin where I live. He's in California, and franchise that to work with companies. Great, we'll franchise this out and build this up. So my plan was to retire at the end of the school year. Well, I made stupid decisions, right? Me being king ego, and throughout the school year, trying to prove myself over and over again. And I just made some really stupid decisions that led me to hit rock bottom. It's like, okay, I'm the king of the world. I'm the king of the world. I'm king of the world. And the world goes, yeah, not so much. Let's take that pedestal out. And
Yeah.
I came crashing down. And what was interesting is all those decisions I made and hitting rock bottom, it made me retire early, right? So instead of the end of the year, I retired in January from teaching, which was good. I'm happy I did it. It was good. It was a good, clear break. So a couple months before the pandemic. So I'm at my rock bottom, suicidal, hated who I'd
Mm.
become, didn't know who I was, to be perfectly honest, right? Do I like chocolate cake? Do I not like chocolate cake? Do I like the show? Do I not? I couldn't tell you because I was so into like, well, do you like it? Then I do. So in the midst
Yes.
of figuring that out, seeing a therapist and doing the personal growth that I've already done, but now it could take root in fertile soil, I was trying to build a business, franchise my friend's company out here, and it was just chaos, like just trying to
Mm.
tread water, keep up, as it were. And then the pandemic hit, and we realized, okay, this they're not going to hire me. The companies aren't going to hire this person to do this at this moment in time. Okay, so let's not franchise that out. He was good with that. We'll figure this out, and then that allowed me the space to heal, learn, and grow myself, but then also shape and discover the stuff that we do and teach now, right?
Yeah.
That shaped everything that we have built since. So, yeah, that kind of was the process. It was really interesting.
Wow. Okay, so when you had this kind of loss of identity and trying to figure out what is it though? What do I like? What do I not like? What do I believe? What do I not believe that maybe I was raised with or what have you? How long did that process take? And what was the hardest part about that for you?
I think it unraveled really quickly. Like it
Okay.
felt like a bomb went off. Like honestly, like as soon
Mm.
as I made stupid decisions and life kicked out the pedestal, I hit. It literally felt like a bomb went. My friend hates when I describe it this way, but I'm like, that's what it felt like. It felt like a bomb just went off and destroyed all of the walls that I put up, the facades I put up in the world, all obliterated because I mean I had a handful of people in my life still, and I'm incredibly grateful. My wife stayed by my side. She didn't have
Yeah.
to, and I never used to leave, but she didn't. Um, and I had a handful of people, but but who am I? Like it wasn't a threat about unraveling; it was just obliterated. And so
Yeah.
now it's picking up pieces, going, well, who is this scared little boy who doesn't know who he is? Because over the last 20 years, I was putting on facades for people, and growing up the way I grew up didn't help with that, right? So that was all the conditioning and stuff.
Yeah.
But then I remember when I was 13, I intentionally changed how I dressed, how I walked, how I talked to fit in with a group of people. So that was
Mm.
20 plus years of that. And well, now I need to figure out who is Spencer really again.
Yeah.
And so that unraveled really quickly. Then it took some time. I would say it took years to really pick up the pieces again. I mean, I picked up a lot of them up really quickly, right? But years
Sure.
to actually be able to look myself in the mirror, look myself in the eyes and say, "Hey, Spencer, I love you.
Mm.
I love you for you." Like there's
Yeah.
no qualifiers, and
Yeah.
to truly mean it. I remember I was at a men's retreat a couple of years after that, rock bottom point, and there was this big, strong former Army guy who was there, and he was sharing his journey and highs and lows and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
excuse me, he was sharing about his uh, one of his rock bottom moments, and one of his roommates challenged him to look in the mirror and say, "I love you." And he said, "I couldn't do it." And he just broke down crying and all those
Ah.
things. And I'm like, and I've worked on myself a lot, right? And now the ego has been knocked aside, set aside, all those different things. I'm like, well, I've done this for years. I could do that. Like I could do that. I've never tried it, but I'm going to do that. Great. So after his talk or whatever, I went up to the bathroom in my room, looked in the mirror, couldn't do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, all right, that's interesting. So then, I started crying because I can't do it. And
Yeah.
I thought I could after all the years. And it came, like, it was a couple days of self acceptance and I was able to, right? So it was
Yeah.
much faster than other times. But now it's something I try to just do regularly to remind myself, hey, I love you for you, right? For
Yes.
who I am. There's no exceptions. I just love you. I love you. Pure and simple. So that was one of the biggest things and things that I had to learn. And you mentioned, like, what did I have to learn from before or get rid of those limiting beliefs from before? I think it was that there's no qualifiers. I did not need to prove myself. I didn't need to
Right.
earn it. I was automatically good, lovable,
Worthy. Yes.
all of it.
All those things. Developing self-love and self-compassion is something that I've done over like the last year. Like I'm new to that game. So doing mirror work is so powerful. But I too remember trying to do some mirror work and I'm like, I cannot look myself in the eye. Like It is it is very, very vulnerable, but when you can work up to do that and to actually say, "Hey, I love you for who you are, not for what you do, not for what you've achieved, not for how much money you make or how many friends you have or how many followers you have. I love you for you." And it is so powerful and affirming. So if you're listening and you have not tried mirror work, reach out to me. I've got some mirror work resources because it is so very powerful. And I will say, Spencer, like for a man to come on and talk about self love and self compassion and breaking down the ego and stuff, like you are blazing a path for people who want to create energizing lives. So thank you first for your vulnerability because it's very inspiring. It's very inspiring. I want to go back to something though, because you said for the 4 years prior to this kind of deconstruction, if you will, you had been doing personal growth and personal development work, but you said something when you finally had that kind of breakdown and that deconstruction, it was landing in fertile soil.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, so I think that that is so fascinating because we can do the personal growth and personal development work. We can do the morning routine and the meditation and the journaling and all of that. But the fertile ground, talk to me about how it landed differently for you when you were in that fertile ground.
Yeah. So for the last 4 years before I hit rock bottom, as you said, I was already doing personal growth, and some of it was business and a lot of mindset stuff. I learned the
Sure,
tips, the hacks,
sure,
I learned all those things, and I was implementing them. And I did dive into the self-love to a degree,
sure.
but energy and just knowing I'm worthy, that I'm enough, all those things.
Yeah,
But the work I was doing, uh, even the gratitude work and all that, it was only really surface level. Looking back, it was only really truly just surface level stuff. Yes, I felt better, but cool, it wasn't. I was already doing good, right? Like, as I'm Spencer, I'm already doing great. This is just
yes.
extra little sprinkles on top. So awesome. Well, then I hit rock bottom and I realized, well, wait, I believe in that stuff. I know the science behind all the things that I read and learned about because
Sure.
I love the science side of it as well.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I know this stuff works. So what's going on? So hence seeing the psychotherapist afterwards, which was extremely helpful. Highly
Yeah,
recommend see a therapist, right? Psychotherapist, see a
totally.
therapist, make sure they align with you, of course. But in any case, because I was already doing so much work and I was like, I believe these things, I'm going to keep doing them. And then he validated those tools. Say, yeah, those are really good things to use and good strategies. I love that. Some people don't come with anything, and you already have this toolbox. And
Right.
then he added a couple more tools to the toolbox, which is great and just guidance. But now I could look at those tools and they hit different. So how did it look? How did it feel? It hit different in my heart, right? As opposed to me
Mhm.
just cognitively saying and keeping it in my head. It made me feeling a little bit in my heart. Now I could like, well, hold up. Let me breathe that in. Let me embrace that gratitude,
Yeah.
that joy, this tool, this strategy, and really truly feel it in my heart and my bones and just
Yes.
let that be. And that's when everything started to truly shift. And it wasn't overnight, right? We're talking
Right.
months where,
Sure.
I didn't still felt like killing myself at times, but promised I wouldn't. So it was, well, okay, let's do this tool. Let's stop beating myself up. Let's get rid of the guilt and shame. Forgive myself for this. Forgive, 300 times a day. And then, okay, then
Yes.
100 times a day after a month.
Mhm.
And then, the more you do it, less and less it happens and
Absolutely.
less deep and all those different things. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, now you've mentioned that you've been afraid that the ego that
Mm.
you were propped up on may come back. So tell me about like what did you mean by that and how have you navigated that since you've been on this journey post rock bottom?
Yeah, so I was terrified that my ego man would come back. So my wife had a nickname for me before we even met. We went to college together, as I think I
Yeah.
mentioned, and I was loud, I was obnoxious, and she would go home and tell her parents, "Oh, ego man was doing this today." Da 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 da. Right? So
Okay.
ego man was the nickname. I don't know why she went out on a date with me or she married me because I still have the nickname, but whatever.
Sure.
She did, and I'm grateful. But in any case, I did have that ego. I was trying to prove myself over and over again. So when I hit rock bottom, I felt like that it obliterated. And I
Sure.
became super, super humble,
Mhm.
like to the point where I'm holding myself back from doing things, from believing in myself and my ability and my innate gifts and blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
because I was so afraid of that ego coming back, right? I was too afraid,
Yeah.
I was timid to step into it.
Yeah.
And that was my justification for it was, well, I'm afraid that ego man is going to come back. And if he comes back, I mean, he was already pretty much out of control doing, I let him be out of
Yeah.
control and just run free. Well, I'm afraid if he comes back, I would not be able to. It's like someone taking over my body is how I felt like it would happen, and I
Sure.
just wouldn't be able to stop it.
Right.
And even after years, right? We're not, I mean, not just months, but years of this.
Mm.
And then stepping into my power a little bit more, I hired a business coach and that community and him and my friends started to help me step into my power a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more again, and
Yeah.
really take ownership and love it.
Yeah.
But I remember this came to a point we were going to I was thinking about hosting our first summit, our big get together for the first time, and I wanted it to be a big, massive event, more money than I've ever spent on an event ever, to host and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting outside in my backyard with a campfire. I had a fire back there and thinking to myself, like, all right, well, can we do this? Like, is it ready? And I got the like visceral reaction, like, whoa, yes, I can. But then I felt like the flare of ego, like, well, let me show them. I'm like, well, hold on. Like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
that. Show them that ego. So I went
Yeah.
in and told Katie, and like, I really want to do this. I think this is it, but I'm afraid ego's going to come back. Like, can you be my guardrails? And I
Mm.
talked to my coach that night, and then I had a men's group at the time, and so the men's group, the same thing. And so I had a handful of people who were my guardrails, who'd be like, we're keeping an eye out for it. If we see you start to veer off, we're going to tell you, right?
Yeah.
And so now I have permission to step into it. For me,
Yes.
permission to step into it fully, knowing I have people who will call me on it if they see it. And so that helped greatly. And even one of the guys in the men's group said, I wouldn't be afraid of ego man showing up again because you are a different person than you were before. You are a
100%.
different person. So he's not going
Yeah.
to show up. And that helped a lot, but I was still timid to a degree. But I was
Sure.
I was grateful I had the guardrails. And it was interesting, even a couple of years after that moment, and 2 years after that, I was at a friend's house and we were chatting just in business and life because we're both entrepreneurs and whatever.
Yeah.
And he wanted to know someone or get to know someone who I knew. And I was like, oh yeah, I can connect you. And it's like I felt like, oh yeah, I know him. And we're good friends. I can connect you. And my voice changed, like my intonation changed, how I held my body. And Katie was with me, my wife, and she just stopped and she looked at me
Oh my
like,
gosh.
and as soon as it came out of my mouth, I felt the difference. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Sure.
No, I know that feeling. No, get away. Like, you're not welcome here. This is not me.
Yeah.
Right. They didn't know. They didn't hear it or see it or feel it. I did. Katie
And
knew
Katie did.
instantly. And we are like, yeah. And she didn't say anything there at the moment. We got into the car. As soon as we got in the car, she's like, what was that? I'm like, I know. I'm sorry. Like, as soon as it happened, I'm like, nope, done. Like, that was interesting that popped up. But all it did for me at that point, I wasn't going to beat myself up over it. It was, oh, I'm aware now that this is one little part of me that I need to work on, heal, to let go, to release, or something to at least look at.
Yes.
And so I could grow from it. That's all it was. It was just an
Yeah.
opportunity to become aware. Heck,
Yes.
last week, I was at a friend's house. We were having a goal setting party thing at his house he was hosting.
Yeah.
And I got there and I've done so much work myself and I feel really good overall.
Sure.
But I'm sharing this because life's a journey. So I was at his house and I'm swearing more than I normally swear. And I swear, but like I'm swearing more than I normally swear. And I'm like, okay, well, I hope you do with the, WTF podcast.
Yes, I
But
do.
right. So I'm swearing more than I normally swear. And then I'm okay for the main session part of it. Like I'm back to my normal self, trying to be humble, trying not to like people are sharing stuff that they're more not experts in, but they know more about it. That's who they're brought in kind of as experts as,
Sure.
even though I have a decade more experience of that than they are. But I'm just like, I'm sitting there. I'm like, nope, that's not I'm sucking it in, like let them have it. Right. And then towards the end, we got done with that and then we were just hanging out. I'm like, what? Like I'm saying things just trying to prove my worth or value or like I'm better than they are.
Yeah.
And as I'm doing it, I'm like, what's going on? Like, oh,
Yeah.
no, let's stop. And so it was, I'm sure that didn't look anything to them, but it was like this weird dichotomy within me of going, well, here's this person like, well, no, 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 let's walk this back. Like, again, all it did was help me raise awareness. Oh, what do I
Yeah.
need to look at? Where do I
Yeah.
need to learn and grow? Because there's
Yeah.
something came up within the situation. Okay, what triggered it? How can I learn and grow from it and release it so that that's no longer a thing?
Yes. So the guy, your mentor, one of your guardrails was absolutely right because you are a different version of you. And so now your radar is up and you're catching it. So that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
How has this experience, this season of your life, changed the way that you show up in your work today
The rock bottom season of life, I assume,
and the rebuilding? Sure.
rebuilding of it. Yeah, for me, it has me showing up in a loving way. I don't
Mm,
know how else to say it in
yeah.
a concise way, except in a loving way. I give myself grace and understanding, but so much more than that, I give other people grace and understanding
Yeah.
because who knows where they are on life's journey, and things that would once piss me off and would ruin my day, or I would just be irate about.
Right.
It rolls off my back. I'm like, okay, whatever, let's move on. Like, or if it does get under my skin for a little bit, I can get rid of it really quickly, as in like
Yeah.
15 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
why? What's the point? So that has helped me relate to people at a deeper
Mm,
level, to connect with them heart to heart, to support them and guide them on their journey without needing to prove myself with it.
yeah.
But it's interesting in the side of business, right? Because the world is still very, very much so prove your worth and prove your value and
Yes.
work hard and all those things, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
grind and hustle. And I get it to a degree. And yes, you can hustle your way to do things, but if it's not in alignment, you're going to hustle a heck of a lot harder. And if you can hustle in alignment, cool, but you still don't want to burn out, right? So
That's exactly right.
find a way. It's like there's seasons that I work hard that I'm quote unquote grinding away for a short season, but then I'm also taking care of myself. And within that season, I'm building in times to take care of myself and do
Yeah.
this thing. So it has me showing up in a much more loving way.
I love that. Okay, so for somebody listening who may be stuck in this cycle of trying to prove their worth, what would you want them to hear today?
I would want you to hear many things. One of them is you are amazing, you are worthy, you are enough just the
Mm,
way you are. You don't have to do
mm,
anything or change anything or prove anything to anyone, not
yeah.
even yourself, because you are innately amazing, worthy, and enough.
Oh, I love that. Oh,
I was going to say that the second thing I would want them to hear if you are in that moment is your inner kid saying, hey, I love you.
yeah. Yeah.
You're just go hang out with your inner kid for a little bit.
Yeah.
It could be 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And not that that fixes everything or makes you right as rain, but it gives you perspective
Yeah.
and it helps a lot.
I love that. Okay, last question. If you could go back and talk to the version of you before everything fell apart, what would you tell him?
That's a hard one for me to answer because I don't know if I would ever change it. Be totally open, transparent. I don't know if I would
Sure.
want to change anything because all the crap that happened, all the shit, the rock bottom, everything made me who I am today and allowed me
Yeah.
to now help so many more people. So I don't know if I'd ever change it. If I did want to change it and say something, I'm not sure I would have listened to me anyway at the time. So maybe it'd be safe to say, I would say, hey, bud, you are amazing. You are worthy. You are enough. I know you feel like you have to prove yourself, that you have to prove your worth and value, but you are worthy. You are enough. I see you.
Yeah.
I love you. And I hope you do too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But saying that, and thinking, saying that to myself the month or years before rock bottom, um, I would have blown it off as a hippy dippy guy who's like, okay, whatever, like, thank you.
Check
Bye.
you. Yes.
Right. And that's how I would have responded to them at that time. So I mean, so I probably could have said it, but it wouldn't have landed. A couple years after rock bottom, I was at a men's retreat again. I used to go to them quite regularly.
Yeah.
And in any case, there's one guy there who we sat down. He had a great talk. And then we sat down on one of the benches by the pool afterwards. And it was just him and I. And he looked into my soul. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's the one and only time, even Katie, my wife, hasn't done this, hasn't been able to. And I don't know if it's not I haven't opened up or I don't know. But I felt like I could not hide anything from him. Like, totally looked into my soul and could see if I was bullshitting or just trying to be flat. But nope, just poof right in. And I felt truly, deeply seen, heard, and felt for the first
Mm.
time in my entire life. Was that moment on that bench. And it was scary as shit because I was like, what the fuck? I cannot hide. Every defense I have, and I'm trying, is not working.
Yeah.
And he's just full. I'm like, holy crap. And it was so amazing. And I'm
Yeah.
incredibly grateful for that experience. And uh, it helped validate, even though I've been doing work, right? But I'm still like, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with this because this is really awkward and weird and different. Uh, but it was so incredible, and I'm
Yeah.
incredibly grateful to him, and hopefully I can help other people, be that person for other people, even though it's scary,
Yeah.
because that just helped me heal, learn, and know it's okay to be fully open and vulnerable.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And you know what's so fascinating is many of these conversations as I've had on the show, every time we're talking about the funk somebody has been in, the pain that they've gone through, the rock bottom and the rebuild, it has always created, I'll use your phrase here, fertile soil for the work that they're doing now. And so if you're listening today and you're in the funk and you're like, I'm done people pleasing, or I don't know who I am anymore, just lean in, lean in because and do some of the work digging below the surface, having some time with that inner child, trying to identify some of those patterns because there is so much gold and joy and energy and happiness on the other side. So I want to leave our listeners with that today. Again, hey, if you are listening in somebody who might be in this cycle who could benefit from listening to Spencer's story, please consider sharing it. That's like the highest compliment you can give to somebody with this show is to share it and rate, review, subscribe. Come back and listen to these stories of people who have been in the funk, who have pivoted out and are doing amazing, amazing things in this world, just like Spencer here. Spencer, thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. And remember, everyone, you are amazing, you are worthy, you are enough. Give yourself love and grace in those hard times and keep shining bright.
I love it. See you next time, everyone.